They came after my $10 million dream home, thinking a simple guy like me, who snagged it for just a quarter, wouldn't have the guts or the brains to push back. But oh, how wrong they were. And as I stand here now, reflecting on that wild ride, the anger still simmers just below the surface, waiting to erupt like a long-dormant volcano, the kind that builds pressure over years of quiet injustice, only to reshape the landscape in one furious blast. Picture this. I'm Ethan Hale, a 52-year-old plumber fresh out of a messy divorce, scraping by in a cramped apartment in Bozeman, Montana, where the days blurred into nights of reheated meals and fading hopes. My ex, Amanda, having claimed half my gear, half my cash, and what felt like half my soul, leaving me with nothing but my beat-up truck that reeked of sealant and regret, its dashboard cluttered with faded photos of better times, family barbecues, and fishing trips that now felt like distant dreams stolen by courtroom battles. But deep down, that fire my old man, a carpenter through and through, had instilled in me, to spot diamonds in the rough, kept flickering, urging me to chase those weekend tax sales, those tense gatherings in stuffy government halls filled with the hum of anxious bidders and the sharp scent of stale coffee mixed with nervous sweat, where fortunes could flip in an instant, the auctioneer's gavel echoing like fate's own hammer. One fateful morning, buried in the auction listings amid stacks of yellowed papers and flickering fluorescent lights, this gem caught my eye. A rundown lodge on 15 acres of prime waterfront at Crystal Lake, starting bid a mere 25 cents, the images showing a wreck with sagging beams, broken glass, and vines creeping through cracks like nature's slow revenge. But man, that lakeside spot in Montana's rugged peaks screamed potential, like buried treasure calling my name, evoking memories of my dad's stories about turning scrap into sanctuaries. Hours later, I'm cruising up Highway 191, tires kicking up dust on winding roads flanked by towering pines, heart pounding as the lake emerges, glassy and majestic, mirroring the snow-capped mountains in a way that made my chest tighten with possibility. And there sits the lodge, built from sturdy logs back in the 60s, its foundation rock solid despite the neglect, whispering promises of revival as I paced around, tools in hand, envisioning the transformation, the fresh paint, the glowing windows at dusk, a place to rebuild not just walls, but a life shattered by loss. That's when the trouble rolled in, sleek and uninvited, a pristine black SUV pulling up smooth as silk, engine humming with entitlement, and out steps Victoria Langford, her platinum hair impeccably styled, pricey trail shoes grinding into the dirt, clipboard in grip like a scepter of doom, introducing herself as the head of the Evergreen Heights Community Association, her voice laced with that superior edge reserved for those who think they're above the rest, her eyes scanning me like I was an intruder in her perfect world. I flashed my tax deed proudly, the paper still crisp in my calloused hands, declaring myself the rightful owner, but her response hit like ice water, that fake grin hiding sharp teeth as she waved a hefty binder stuffed with rules and amendments, insisting tax auctions mean nothing against their strict guidelines, claiming my lodge breached a dozen rules, setbacks, aesthetics, even the color of the roof, and needed tearing down, her words dripping with pity, like I was some clueless handyman too, dim to comprehend the finer points of law, the condescension stinging deeper than any tool mishap. The nerve of it burned inside me. This woman on my land, belittling my hard-earned win, hinting that folks like me, blue-collar, no fancy degree, hands stained from honest labor, should just slink away before things got messy. Her threats veiled in politeness as she drove off, leaving me clutching that quarter receipt, the hawk's cry overhead feeling like a warning from the wild itself. My dad's voice echoing in my head about standing firm against bullies, though I had no idea this one wielded attorneys and influence like weapons honed over years of squashing dreams just like mine, her perfume lingering in the air like a toxic reminder of the class divide she enforced. The first week turned into a nightmare of small tyrannies, each one chipping away at my resolve with relentless precision, starting with her nephew, Dylan Langford, showing up in his official vest, eyes dull and posture weak, slapping me with fines for nonsense like how my truck was angled in my own drive, his pen scratching with glee as he handed over a $500 ticket, the paper fluttering in the mountain breeze. followed by citations for sawing too early, the whine of the blade echoing. Accusations for trash bins during rebuilds amid piles of rotted wood and shattered tile, for not planting flowers on unfinished ground where mud still clung to my boots. The absurdity piling up like snow in a blizzard, each paper cut designed to drain my wallet until I caved. The fines accumulating like debts from my divorce, stirring old wounds of financial ruin. But plumbers like me, we've danced with red tape before, navigating permits and inspectors with the same skill as threading pipes through walls. So I dove into county archives, that dim basement reeking of mold and forgotten files, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead as I sifted through dusty drawers for hours, unearthing gold. The association formed only 8 years back, my lodge predating it by decades, qualifying for that sweet exemption under old rules, like a timeless shield against modern nonsense. The discovery igniting a spark of hope amid the gloom. Armed with that, I sought help at Reynolds' law firm, a modest outfit squeezed between a coffee joint and a thrift store, the waiting room worn with mismatched chairs and outdated magazines, where paralegal Mia Lawson lit up at the docks, her keen mind spotting the cracks in their armor, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she drafted challenges that rendered those fines as useless as yesterday's news, her enthusiasm a balm to my weary spirit. Meanwhile, I fired up my online channel, Lodge Revival Saga, posting time-lapses of the cleanup, the grime peeling away layer by layer to reveal raw beauty beneath, set to gritty rock tunes that matched my pounding heart, and the views poured in, comments cheering me on from strangers who felt the sting of similar battles, folks from afar rooting for the underdog against the HOA beast. Even Jack Harlan at the local supply shop tossing me deals on lumber and nails, muttering how she'd bullied the area for too long, his weathered face creasing with shared resentment, the community fracturing, some slipping me secret support notes tucked under wipers, others averting eyes in fear, their silence a testament to her reign of terror. Then came the tip that cracked things open, a note leading me to the old Whitaker place on Birchwood Drive, a barren plot where Thomas Whitaker once lived, now overgrown with weeds choking cracked concrete, and tracking him to a bait shop in Missoula, his bitter tale spilled out over the counter amid racks of lures and reels, harassment mirroring mine, endless fines and delays forcing a cheap sale to Langford Builders, her husband's firm, which flipped it for massive gains after minor tweaks. The pattern screaming foul play, profit from pain, my blood boiling at the injustice, the way these power plays shattered families, robbed them of homes built on sweat and love, his trembling hands as he recounted lost memories making me vow to fight harder for what was right. As tensions ramped up, the hits kept coming, harder and faster, like storm waves crashing against my resolve, each one laced with deeper malice, starting with Inspector Victor Grant slapping an orange halt on my door for unpermitted wiring. Despite my filed apps buried in some bureaucratic black hole, his mumbled excuses hiding ties to Victoria, golf buddies at Peak Meadows Country Club, photos of their laughs over putts of blatant clash screaming corruption, but digging deeper through social media trails and public records. We turned the tables, ethics complaints flying like arrows, his order crumbling under scrutiny from higher-ups who couldn't ignore the evidence. My videos exploded, wiring tutorials drawing crowds of DIYers sharing tips and comments, followers swelling as I explained safety breakers amid sparks and sweat, turning my fight into a spectacle that inspired others to question their own oppressors. And when retired Judge Benjamin Caldwell stepped in, his wisdom slicing through the mess with courtroom anecdotes from decades on the bench, spotting procedural flaws and harassment schemes in every document, it felt like the tide shifting, his gravelly voice assuring me we had a case, especially as reporter Olivia Reyes called, her sharp questions weaving an exposé on years of complaints buried in files, my daily posts the irrefutable proof, her notepad filling with details of shadowed meetings and whispered fears. Crowdfunding surged, donations fueling the battle from supporters moved by my raw updates, enough to ditch the instant noodles and hire experts. And as I watched sunsets from my porch, the lake's whispers soothing my frayed nerves amid the golden hues reflecting on water, her SUV returned, fury in her stance as she served fraud papers, accusing me of deceit with legalese that twisted facts. triggering probes that painted me as the crook in sensational headlines, media twisting tales with anonymous sources, bots flooding my feeds with venomous accusations, clients ditching my plumbing gigs overnight, even dragging Amanda into the mud with prying calls that left her sobbing on the line, her confusion piercing my heart, reminding me of lost love and family bonds frayed by hardship, the personal attacks stirring a rage I had to channel into strategy. But Benjamin unearthed the bombshell. Their association wasn't even legit, papers botched from the start, no real power to enforce anything, every action fraud. And surveys showed my land exempt, Victoria knowing all along, her bluff exposed in faded maps from her father's era, the revelation a turning point that fueled my fire. Vindication hit sweet. Charges dropped with official apologies. My army online ballooning to 500,000. Hashtag Lodge Equity trending with stories of similar struggles. Locals rallying with signs in windows and supportive waves. Officials probing past deeds that uncovered a web of favors. Victims emerging from the shadows with tales of ruined lives. And an appraisal pegged my revamped spot at $2.8 million. A quarter to riches in months through sweat-soaked days. But the real twist lurked in the basement, a hidden box yielding deeds and an 80s report on minerals, lithium, copper, gold, valued at millions below ground. The rights mined from the sale, explaining her desperation, her hubby's firm bankrupt, debts mounting like unpaid bills from my own past, her dad's old maps cluing her in, greed cloaked in rules, a scheme to snatch the jackpot that now lay bare. The document's yellowed edges trembling in my hands like leaves in the wind. The revelation ignited everything. Olivia's series blasting the truth across airwaves and screens. Federal eyes turning with agents poring over evidence. My choice looming. Cash out or preserve. And I opted for balance. Sustainable mining funding a park. 90% protected with trails winding through wildflowers and eco-lodges for income. The backlash thermonuclear in the best way. Support flooding from Greens and locals alike. Environmental nods praising the model. Tourism buzz projecting economic revival. But she doubled down. Lawsuits under RICO flying with treble damages sought. Embezzlement exposed in audited books. Volunteers swarming like kin drawn by the cause. Carlos Rivera leading builds with crews sharing lunches and laughs. Sofia Mendoza crafting green plans that balanced extraction with habitat restoration. Emma Collins crunching numbers for jobs and revenue that promised lasting prosperity. The site alive with hammers and hope. A barn raising reborn in modern times. Victims got aid through funds we set up. My channel hit millions. Educating on rights with breakdowns of legalese. The center rising with interactive displays on defense tactics. Partnerships blooming with universities for research. Media frenzy building with crews camping out for scoops. Her world cracking under the weight. Reviews of her actions launching investigations that peeled back layers of deceit. Lawsuits piling from emboldened neighbors. Yet she lashed out, sabotage striking, sugar in engines, slashed lines on equipment under moonlight. Cameras nabbing Dylan in his clumsy act. Threats escalating to anonymous calls that chilled the night air. Store vandalism, with shattered glass reflecting her shattering control. Insurance dropping like a bad habit. But PI Frank Donovan mapped her downfall in detailed reports. Debts bleeding her dry as creditors circled. FBI's agent Elena Vargas building the case with interviews that uncovered accomplices. Community shields forming through. Patrols and funds raised at town halls. Her spins failing spectacularly. Bots and hired protests backfiring with actors fumbling lines. Police dismantling the farce amid laughs. The peak hit with a toxic spill on my walls. Hazmat chaos requiring suits and scrubbers. The acrid smell lingering for days. Then a raid on bogus tips traced to her burner phone. Agents apologizing profusely on my porch. Her tactics unraveling like frayed rope. Storm clouds mirroring the brewing end with thunder rumbling promises of closure. Confirmation of her arrest sealing the climax. The weight of injustice. The betrayal of trust in neighborhoods meant for family and peace, pushing me to the edge, my suppressed rage ready to burst in righteous fury, the culmination of months where every nail driven, every video posted, was a step toward reclaiming what was mine. The dawn of reckoning broke clear and charged. the monthly Evergreen Heights gathering packed with locals, press, and electric anticipation humming like a live wire. Victoria at the helm, composure fraying as she spun her victim yarn with trembling hands, labeling me the invader who disrupted harmony, calling for votes to kill the park amid murmurs of doubt, her allies nodding feebly like puppets with cut strings. But I rose, steady as the peaks that framed our valley, unveiling the timeline on screen with clicks that echoed finality, harassment laid bare in dated entries, finances exposed in red-inked ledgers, minerals revealed with geological charts glowing, her color draining as the crowd gasped in waves of realization, her outburst of lies shattered by bursting doors, Agent Elena Vargas marching in with marshals, cuffs snapping on fraud, extortion, racketeering, the metallic click a symphony of justice. Dylan nabbed too for his dirty deeds as he slunk toward escape, the room erupting in cheers and flashes that captured the downfall. My final words painting the park's promise. Jobs blooming like spring flowers, value hikes lifting all boats, protection for generations. With thunderous applause sealing community rebirth, Sheriff Luis Ramirez's handshake warm and firm, his words of thanks a nod to the bonds we'd forged. Her footage viral, spreading like wildfire across feeds, empire dust scattering in the wind. I watched from the center, neighbors turning allies with hugs and shared stories. The quarter's triumph over greed a beacon that lit paths for others. And 6 months on, Crystal Lake Preserve thrives under azure skies. 5,000 opening day guests hiking golden paths lined with interpretive signs. Laughter rippling across waters where loons call mates. The lodge now a hub for rights workshops packed with eager learners dissecting cases, businesses booming. 40% up with bustling streets. New eateries serving farm-fresh meals. Hotels rising like aspirations. Jack expanding his crew with apprentices learning trades. My trade firm soars, restoring relics statewide with techniques honed here. Waiting lists stretching like the horizon, and life's fuller with Olivia by my side. Her move-in sparking lakeside vows comes spring amid blooming wildflowers. A reception in Defiance's heart where toasts celebrate resilience. Justice struck hard. Victoria 8 years locked away. $15 million repaid to mend wounds. Dylan probation-bound, trash-picking his messes along trails he scarred. Sometimes karma wears hiking boots and delivers with precision. The fake group dissolved into oblivion, a real one rising with democratic votes and transparency. Settlements healing 12 families with checks that rebuilt homes and hopes. Our trust a model emulated nationwide. Minimal mining guarding wilderness with careful oversight. Festivals funding futures through scholarships for trades and eco-studies. Vets finding solace in camps where silence heals deeper than words. The film quarter to redemption inspiring battles afar with awards and screenings. Emails flooding with tales of victories sparked by our playbook. The lodge a testament with plaques recounting each twist. Receipt framed like a medal. Evenings on the dock with sunsets painting impossible colors. Waves lapping rhythms of peace. Olivia's spark igniting probes into new injustices. Potlucks binding us with shared pies and stories under stars. Simple joys the true win, reminding that from ashes of avarice, beauty blooms when we stand for kin, fairness, and what's right. The closure a warm embrace after the storm. And as I wrap this tale, feeling the closure of a chapter turned triumph, I can't help but ponder the deeper questions that linger, like echoes across the lake. What lines should we draw between community rules and personal freedom? Is revenge ever truly just if it rebuilds stronger bonds? Or does true justice lie in forgiveness over retribution? Let me know your thoughts below. Where do you stand on these battles of right and wrong?